language. Please ignore.
Mine is only English, but here we go. Okay, Bee, it's such an honor to have you here. Ryan told you all a lot about friends and family and bring and share. Yeah, Bee, I think some...
Don't be nervous. What is wrong with you?
Okay.
Shake it off.
I want to kick it off with who you are. So, Bee, a lot of us have been saying, Bee's incredible, she's a stylist, she's all of those things. But I asked people who are quite near and dear to Bee what Bee means to them and for them. And the first word that came out was mother. And people that didn't even interact with you in a work capacity. The first time I met Bee was on a shoot, and it was my first time out of the house since having a baby. I didn't want to be on the shoot. I was at quite a hype shoot in a boho dress and Birkenstocks with my baby on my arm.
Did I judge you?
No, you didn't. So Bee didn't judge me. She was so kind, and she asked me to help make people on set feel comfortable and to tell them how to stand. And you are amazing. You're working so incredibly hard, and I think that's just been the theme of your story. And something that you shared with me this morning was you haven't always been Bee Diamondhead. You were a slow to warm little girl. So I think if you can share more about your story and your dream, and not the preface on your website, but more about how you came about as a creative.
Right. It's a bit of a weird one. You know these people that are amazing at what they do, and they've always wanted to do that thing. I met this fashion designer the other day, and she's had this dream since she was 13 years old. When I grew up in a small town called Gobulawayo in Zimbabwe, born in 85. And at that time, based on circumstances and where our parents came from and their desperate need to come out of that world, I wasn't necessarily taught how to dream or how to dream big. I had no idea that artists existed. We used to listen to music, of course, and hear Brenda Fassie or Lucky Dube. My uncle used to call me Yvonne because I was obsessed with this Yvonne Shaga Shaga song. I didn't even realize that was art then. So I never really had a big dream. I guess you can say that my work and who I became is something that kind of was always in me. And I think a lot of African kids have been done a disservice in their creativity being stifled, and that the only thing for you to become, well, now we know it's not fucking true, but is a doctor or a lawyer but now we're all in the trenches, right? So the only thing that you truly have, if you're a creative, at least it can feed you. At least it can feed other people, because without creativity, we have no cars, we have no music, we have no film. We have no beautiful clothes. There's so many different things that we couldn't live without. And I guess I'm just happy to be able to contribute in that way, coming from a place where I didn't know that was possible. Yeah.
Thank you, Bee. When did the penny drop? When were you cool, this is what I want to do, I'm into it?
It took me it took a really long time. I was so bad at school. I was terrible at school. And I come from the kind of household where I used to get into trouble for drawing instead of doing my maths homework. But when I was in school, I used to paint really well. I used to sell my art for pocket money, sell it to the teachers.
Entrepreneur.
Yeah. And even when I finished high school, it was what university are you going to go to? What are you going to study? And I think something in me was just I can't go to Wits and study law or whatever. So the only thing, for some reason I convinced my dad to let me go to Vega. It was the very, very first Vega where there was only one in South Africa.
How did you convince him? Did you tell him it's like
I think
it's short for
I
legal?
think he always knew that I was
There's
creative,
something.
and I was like a quiet little sensitive girl. And if I didn't get my way, I would just be like painfully sad, you know. And hurting me always like really hurt him. And if I wanted something, I'd work really hard for it. So the Vega thing, like getting into Vega, I had to work really hard at it. So he was just like, okay, he gave me a year. It's like, you can do this. If it doesn't work out, go do marketing or something like that. Do something that you can fall back on. And there was no falling back, because once I was in it, then like slowly started to like peel off the layers. Towards the end of my degree at Vega, a friend of mine, whose sister then had been a stylist for like 10 years. I don't even know where she is now, but he was like, you've got like I've always had like a natural style. I used to go thrifting, like car boot sales when I was a kid, and everybody thought I was a weirdo. Everyone thought I was a weirdo, but this one kid was just like, nah, dude, you're cool. And she asked me to help her, just like intern over the weekend to help her with some stuff. And I ended up assisting her for a whole year. And in that year, I saved up every single cent. I used to drive my mother's old beat down Toyota Taz, a red one. Sold that, bought my flight to the UK. I didn't tell anybody. I had gotten myself a scholarship at Central St. Martin's, which is like the biggest fashion school in the world. But I realized like I didn't have the heart to be a fashion designer, so I enrolled in their sister school to learn how to properly learn how to style. And on a Friday, I told my parents I'm moving to London, and they're like, when? I was like, on Sunday. And on Sunday, I left.
What, you know, you're missing an important part.
Which one?
When you told them. And then what did they say?
See, I was always that kid. Like when I dropped maths, because dropping maths would mean that I fail my whole year.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them. So the letter, you're supposed to take a letter home, and then they tell your parents that like your kid has to drop the subject and take one of these in order to pass the year, otherwise she's gonna fail.
Yeah.
And there was no way. I was terrified of my parents. There was no way. I forged my stepmother's signature.
Come on.
I can still, it's so easy to forge.
Me too.
today.
Like witnesses.
But my dad's. I forged her signature. And also, my God, the high school that I went to, your detention, they used to call it the Wailing Wall. And it used to be outside like the teachers' offices, and all the kids would stand on the Wailing Wall, and everybody would walk past and see you with your head to the Wailing Wall all of like the whole lunch break. That was detention. So I stood in that Wailing Wall for 4 days. We had until Friday to get that letter signed. I stood in front of that Wailing Wall for 4 days, trying to like figure out how the hell am I going to get them to sign this? Because my dad's dream, like, you have to do well at maths, you have to do well at school, you have to go and become this thing. And I just didn't, like, it just wasn't me. And on day 4, I forged the signature and got out of that detention.
Love it. Creative. I love it.
And then only at the end of that year, when the report came, I was like, oh, thank God, I'm going to matric. I passed.
Wait, you were at the Wailing Wall in grade 11?
I was in grade 11. And my dad was like, where's your maths mark?
Oh, did
About
they look
that.
No, but when you said you were going to London, what did
Yeah.
they say afterwards? Did they cry? Like, I think my parents would have cried.
No. My dad was actually really... I'm from Zim, and Zimbabweans travel. For Zimbabweans, leaving Zim or like leaving home is like a means to a better life. So I think also a lot of us had gone and traveled. It wasn't a big deal at all. And as I guess like the firstborn child or the firstborn girl child, I've always been taught hyper independence.
You're the firstborn son.
I'm the firstborn
Do we have
son.
other firstborn daughters here? You're the firstborn son. Can confirm.
So it wasn't a big deal. And immediately my dad went into where you're going to stay. He had a friend who owned a hostel. I stayed at the hostel for some time. And I had a lot of family there already. My mother actually lives in England, but we were like estranged at the time. And I contacted her. So it was fine. And I was so happy to be like a little tadpole in like this big ocean. I was so happy to be invisible and just discover myself and just do my own thing without being judged, without being looked at, without being, like without all the pressure.
No one knew you.
Nobody knew me,
You
no.
can just reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
So you came from a place where you were shy bee, quiet bee.
And my government name was still intact then. One of the most Googled things about me is what's Bee Diamondhead's real name.
Yes.
Only one person in this room knows, actually two.
Who's the other one?
My cousin and Jay. only two people know. You can't torture it out of them.
No.
But that allowed me, once I truly discovered my creativity, my sense of self, I think I saw like a difference between Bee and the little girl, and like I created this powerhouse of a person that was loud and unafraid and excited to do what they wanted to do.
I love that. That's so beautiful because, can I say that, so Ryan and I have a daughter and I'm always thinking about her and I'm always going to bring her into everything. So if you don't like that, there's a door. But it's so crazy seeing her live life out loud because she doesn't have the same limitations that I had as a child.
Yeah.
Bless my parents. But
yeah, and like no beef. Like
no beef.
I get it.
Yes.
I absolutely get it. They did all that and they were that strict because they care.
Yeah, but besides that, I think when you live life as Bee, you are actually honoring little Bee, that person that you spoke about, that name.
Yeah.
So it's not someone different. It's actually like your true self and your true form, and that's who you honor every day when you just show up and you like do that thing. Because we're like, when I see our daughter, I wish I could be as audacious as her. I wish I could say the things that I now do because of her.
And we're breaking generational traumas and curses because now we can live out loud. And like the little ones are like, I've got like my nieces and they're allowed to be whoever the fuck they want around me.
Yeah.
Like they know when they're coming to visit Auntie B, it's about to be a party, because I know it's not like that at their parents' house. So it's like, come over here.
I love that.
Yeah.
Something you were telling me, like you bring up your dad a lot. And I had another conversation with a friend, and she's an artist, and she's incredible. She was telling me that we were speaking about one thing, and we ended up speaking about another. She told me that creativity in her home was inspired by her mom. And I was like, amazing, was your mom an artist? What did she do? And she was like, no, her mom was an administrative assistant, but she would always come home and like sweep the yard and fix the garden and like decorate the garden with plants and rocks and whatever she could find. And I was just telling her that, isn't it so crazy that so often we focus on generational curses and generational traumas that we want to break, but what if you are, and this is maybe why your dad's always supported that dream, maybe you are like a generational manifestation of what, maybe it's not even him, maybe it's his great grandfather wanted to be a creative but didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
And I think when you walk into a room and you do the work that you do, you inspire so many of us to like see that it's actually possible. So thank you, Bee.
And thanks for saying that. It's weird now when you say that, like about my dad and the people in our lives. I think maybe I may have blocked that out.
I know I do.
But when I really think about it, I really am just a manifestation of them. My dad is so cool, and he dresses so well and he pays attention to detail. And he cares so much, and it's obvious, like now when I think about it, it's obvious where I get it from. I think we focus so much on the things that we don't love that we forget all the beauty that's in it as well, and where our beauty actually comes from. Yeah.
Yes, we almost ran away from it.
We do, yeah.
I love that. And yeah, I think, like I mentioned earlier, you just have this maternal thing about you.
Mama B.
But when we were talking, so before we had Bring and Share, Bee and I had a very random conversation. I was hiding away from my daughter in the toilet, and we were talking work and culture and just industries nonsense. And I was like, you'll be like, you are like, you heavy. I feel like we need to do a bring and share. And then I wrote down, heavy is the heart that wears the crown. Because I think a lot of times people see you and they're like, you're in your industry, not just as a stylist, but as a captain of industry, as um, a creative director. You are like the pinnacle of success. You have your shit together. It's a lot of pressure
Love
because
it.
yeah, and it's a lot of pressure because like you're just a girl.
I'm just a baby.
You're just a baby. Like that's the thing. So I did a bit of a Google and a client mentioned you. And it said Bee Diamondhead kicks down doors for the community.
How
And
dramatic.
yeah, and it's a lot of pressure. So what I want to ask you is, how do you keep up with the pressure, and what keeps you sane, and how, it's lots of questions, and how do you not get lost in the sauce, because it's saucy,
Yeah.
like it's very, very saucy.
It's
Yeah.
fucking saucy.
Yeah.
I think because I came in when I did, I never had a choice. So I've been working for 20 years, right? And when I first started working, I was the only black face in the room, the only black HOD. And I was lucky enough at that time, the people that were mentoring me were really great. And so I came up very quickly. I interned and went straight into assisting within a year. And by the end of that year, I was HOD. I was head of department in my own jobs. But it was so rough because here's this like confident little black girl who knows what she wants, who knows what she needs. I'm asking for these things and I'm being shut down everywhere. It's like, this is what you get, this is what you must accept, and take it or leave it. And to be the person who's constantly saying, no, I will not take it. If you want me, this is how this is like, your status quo has nothing to do with me. This is what I need in order to do my job well. And that became, there's this thing in the industry. B is really difficult to work with. B is whatever. But it's only like that because I'm very strict when it comes to my work. I'm very strict in the vibes that I bring. I'm very strict in the environment that I want to be in. I'm very strict because I want to leave a better industry than the one that I came into. Because it can be horrible out there. It can be toxic out there. So when I do have people coming to work with me, or when I'm working for people, I make sure it's an experience that's rooted in love and like true sharing. I've had a lot of people come and work for me over the years, and it's always been my duty to make sure that they're truly learning and that they have a really good experience and that they're not abused and treated like shit like I was, because I'd never want that for anybody. So it's sort of become my calling in a way, like the teaching and the sweeping up the streets of the creative industry. Because what rubbish. But it's hard. It's hard because sometimes it feels like you're the only one. Like it feels like nobody else is fighting. We have these groups, these like stylist group and these creative director groups, and they're like, oh, my client is refusing to give me more budget. I'm just like, you guys, you need to stand up for yourselves, because if we all accept the bullshit that they serve us, then we can never truly have a great industry, because there's not enough of us that are fighting for it. And sometimes I do feel like too few of us, or like sometimes I do feel alone in the fight. I can't even remember what you asked.
No, it's lonely.
It's lonely, yeah.
And that's why I also love this space, because we are a full group of loners and outsiders, and Yeah, that's
Like,
what
I
love it.
mentor a lot of people and have mentored a lot of people. I think for the last 15 years, I had this mentorship program where I only hired Black and brown kids, and taught them everything that I knew so that they would be really great at what they do. There's a whole lot of them now.
But this is the first time I've ever heard you mention it, because you've never mentioned it. Everyone just knows that that's the case. Like,
Yeah.
you see this amazing stylist come up, and we know that they've been upskilled by you in a way that's still their own, but they've been supported in the basics, like administrative skills and finances,
Yeah.
to negotiation.
Yeah, because when you're working with me, you're there. Like, I make sure that you're there from very first part of the job right to the end, and you sit with me. So, like, you learn how to do a mood board. You learn how to sit in a PPM, the questions that you're supposed to ask. You learn how to decipher a script. You learn how to bring in your own personality and create characters within a script. You learn how to do like a really great fitting. You learn how to sell in a PPM. You learn how to sell your ideas, because the director, the copywriter, the creative director, everybody has their own ideas, but you learn to be the voice that drives the ship. Because, like, nobody has time to waste. And also, all those other voices are just so boring. Everybody just wants to be heard, but, like, we're here for a reason. You study, you learn how to study the brand, because my ideas have nothing to do with the brand. Yes, I can bring in, like, my little idea to, like, make it shine, but really, I'm selling Road. You know, I'm not selling Bee Diamondhead. You learn how to take your ego out of it. You learn how to have like a junior assistant and like learn how to work with people, like all that stuff. So that's part of my program, but it's been an unofficial one, just my quest to get more faces that look like me in the rooms.
No, and you do it, because I was in a pre-production session on the beach and I actually bumped into Claire. So Claire can confirm that I was really working. I was working at a book, and I have a very big red back because of it. But I was on a call with Gabby
Kaname.
for 2 hours.
She's one of my kids, yeah.
I didn't even tell you this yet, but we were just chatting, and I was telling her about something that Ran and I want to do around upskilling, and she was like telling me how her life was changed by another brand through mentorship. And you and I chatted the day before. We confirmed English the day before, and she said, "Can I just tell you, I love this mentorship program. I wasn't sure what I was doing with my life, and then Bee Diamondhead like was my mom through it. Like, you completely changed the perspective around not only styling but the industry and what she could bring to the creative industry. And now she's one of the most incredible creatives and tastemakers, and that's also on you. That's your legacy.
You make me cry.
No, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
2 hours of just that, and like, just own it. So anyway, you're amazing. Let's heap things up a bit. Bee made a tweet, "I'm not on Twitter, don't look for me on Twitter. My current handle says, like, I don't know." And I don't...
Oh, the tweet about me hating advertising?
Yeah, Bee said, "I hate..."
I'm banned on Twitter for life, by the way. Like, literally, I'm banned
X,
for life.
on X.
It's called X,
X,
now. Back
X.
when it was Twitter. I used to, at some point in my career, just like, I was just so angry, and I was very vocal about it on Twitter, on Instagram. I have, like, you know, like in Close Friends, when you talk about like how bad your workday was.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I want the whole world to know you fucking ruined my day. You know,
Today is not a good day.
Today is not a good day. Your email received me like, you know what I mean? So I've never hidden how I feel about things. I've always said it very openly, but my work can back up the type of person that I am. So very few people can say that, like, I don't have great work at. Actually, nobody can say that.
You work damn hard.
So I once tweeted, I don't know what I was so angry about that day, but the gist of it was that I fucking hate advertising. And I was on a big job at the time, and we were going to a PPM. A PPM is a pre-production meeting where all the heads of departments sit in this room and we discuss what we're about to shoot. And before we walk in, my director pulls me aside and he says, the creative director doesn't want you in this meeting. And I was like, what? Which is the creator of the ad agency. And he's like, something about your tweet about hating advertising. I was like, you're fucking joking. Like, you have got to be kidding me. Anyway, I landed up in that room, and he was bold enough to say, Bee Diamondhead hates advertising so much, why is she in this room? And initially, I was just like, swallow me. Like, my heart dropped. But I was like, to be honest with you, I think the advertising industry is in a terrible place. And I don't love advertising. But the reason why I'm in this room is because I'm fucking good at what I do and I care. I don't need to love advertising for me to be here. So either you want the best or you want somebody who's just going to lie to you about how great everything is. It's not all good. It's not amazing. And that's why I work so hard at what I do, to make sure that it is. But still, today, to clean up the streets, I still fucking hate advertising. I don't give a fuck.
But to be fair, Ryan and I talk about it often. Does anybody love advertising? And if they love advertising, are they okay?
Are you okay? But also tell me what.
Are you cool? Are you good? Do you love advertising?
Tell me what about it that you love so much, and what has it done for you?
Like, is it the timesheets? Is that what you love? And it's
no, I love it.
the thing is, Ryan and I check ourselves, and I'm sure B, you do the same, and everyone else in advertising. Advertising affects everything we do, everything we consume. Do I love advertising, or do I love the people that we get to advertise to? Do we love a good story? Do we love shaping culture?
Creating? Yes,
do we love
absolutely.
doing that? Because I don't love advertising. When I do a creative, I don't want to ask, is this award-winning work? Sometimes work is impactful and it doesn't win awards. But I think a lot of times in advertising, I really can't get a permanent job after this. I'm going to have to make friends and family work. But I think a lot of times in advertising, that's what they do. And I've worked at big advertising agencies. I've been client side, and they always ask, is this award-winning work? I'm like, who cares? Is the invoice paid, and is it reaching the goal that the client wanted and more?
I think I think it's become so watered down and so saturated with like the same thing. It's the same language. Everything looks the same.
A TikTok dance challenge, guys.
Exactly. It's like what is trending? What is trending? And this is like the cookie cutter version that across the board is the language that we're going to speak to everybody in. Every single person in this room is different. But if me, as the creative director, come up with something that's like unique to me and special, and only like 4 people get it and they resonate and it makes them feel something, that's so enough. But now we're just like scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and we feel nothing. And as artists, I feel like we're losing our souls. Like, we really should be creating to actually feel some shit, you know? But I think that's across the board. It's like fashion, art, so all of it is like this one big thing that it's just very rare to feel much lately. And as somebody that comes from advertising, I did end up working in advertising. I worked as creative director at an agency, and it was difficult then, because to bring across really fresh, beautiful ideas was not possible, because you had to water it down. You had to
make it palatable.
And as a palatable Black, I know everything about making shit palatable, but that's it's
gassed up. Right? How are we for time? Good. I want to talk about
making things palatable is easy.
Yeah.
But
and also I think Shaq and I spoke about this. Being a creative is risky. Being a creative is taking a risk and a chance on yourself. And then you fail, and it's not actually failing. It's just refining, and you keep on refining, and you keep on putting yourself forward. And it's like you you're putting yourself up to the world. Every time you have a brief revert rejected, you check your ego, you go back and you try again, and you craft it.
But it never stops. It never stops being difficult. I think the special thing is the putting yourself out there. Till today, if I do a project, sometimes I won't put it out for weeks, months, until like I have too much wine one day. I'm just like, send. Oh my God. And then I wake up to all these. I'm like, we're good.
I think that's always beautiful. But I think that also ticks over into the dance. We've been talking a lot about the dance that we have to do for clients, for agencies.
Yeah.
And it gets tiring. Like sometimes it's tiring when you have to say, "Hi, I'm Savannah and this is Ryan and we are friends and family agency."
Yeah.
It's like
That's
you
something
invited us here and now we're doing
That's
this.
something that I really struggle with is selling myself. Also, like somebody will like knock on my door, like, "Oh, B, we want you to work with us on this."
Then you have to sell
Like knock
yourself.
on my door like a freaking like Jehovah's Witness. And then you get into the room and then you're negotiating your rates. You're sending some more images, sending more like updating your portfolio, because I'm just like, you came to me. What are you talking about?
No, it's like they are gaslighting you.
Yeah.
It's like
In
someone
my
that
own
had
living room.
someone that had a crush on you. Now you in a full relationship with them, and they're like, they're done with you.
Right, and it's so violent and toxic because you're like, shit, I really need this work.
I need this.
But
work.
but the other part of you wants to be like, bro, fuck off. Just like, but not like now. I'm just like at the place in my life where I just send a nice, cute little email and just say, thank you so much for thinking of us. But if you believe that there's somebody else better for this job, please go ahead and go with them. Meanwhile, my bank account is on like -20. But I'm just like, I'm so sorry. No. Like my parents always tell me, if you can't, like, there's a room for you at home.
I think there's and that's like the alignment thing. When we first started the business, we were like, we're gonna go for this cool brand, that, and then we meet clients that we really love and that we really care for, and they aren't the brands on the list, but they see the vision, and we have this beautiful working relationship. Because I won't name names, but we recently someone knocked on our door, asked us to do an agency intro because they love the work we did, and we took them through our deck, and they didn't realize that we were behind X TVC X campaign, and they were looking at the numbers, and they pay a huge agency retainer, and the agency is even on their premises.
But as a young agency of color, obviously you're supposed to be cheap. Who do you think you are, charging what you're going to charge?
So she looks at Ryan and I, and she's like, this is very impressive, but I feel like you are too expensive for us. And Ryan and I were like, we've done the whole dance, we've done the paso doble, we've crammed for them, like we've done the most, we ironed our we did the whole thing. Our deck is hot.
I'm sure. I have no doubt about it. But this is the same. This is the same. Like,
There's a gift
I honestly don't have.
Like I'm just like, what? Like Ryan and I sat, and I just told him, and then there was a whole thing of like, they need to put us on as a supply thing. I was just like, Ryan, I'm gonna move this chat to archive. Like, I'm done. I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Because I know you have the same experiences. No one asks you for your rate card, but they're like,
no one asks me for my rate card, but
she's
Bee is
expensive.
difficult and expensive. I'm like, how do you know? How do you know? I've never heard from you. You've never experienced me. How do
They're paying
you
EU
know?
invoices.
Why are you lying?
They're paying EU invoices, but they can't pay the ZAR invoice.
Literally just the other day, I was asked, again, knocked on my door, and I was asked to send my rate cards and everything. And this woman had the audacity to say, this is not industry standard. But you asked me, your industry standard and your status quo has nothing to do with me. You asked me what my rates are, so I've given them to you. Either you take them or you leave them. And then her boss chimed in and said, who does she think she is? I think she sent that to me by mistake.
Okay, Okay.
Yeah, this was like three weeks ago. I have my sister managing me now because she's much more
She'll filter it.
PC. Yeah. And I was like,
who do you think you are?
yo, and CJ just shut it down like really quickly. But like, because I'm trying to preserve the innocence of my creativity, because this industry can really dim your light and suck it out of you. So I was like, let me hand over these things to somebody else who's actually not in the industry at all.
But loves and cares for you.
Loves and cares for me. Let me hand it over to her because she can deal with these assholes, but because I can't. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that story. When did a project that didn't have the hype but was all heart fulfill something in you that you didn't think it would fulfill?
A project that was what?
It wasn't all hype. Like, it wasn't a X brand project. It wasn't whatever. And you didn't even realize that it would be as impactful, maybe not to the world, but to you and the people around you.
I guess that project would be me.
Ooh.
Because, like I said, I never dreamt that big. And it's weird, like now, like sitting on this couch, I'm just like, shit, I've done some really great things. Earlier this year, I was flown to London and did a shoot for Vogue. I was in Vogue US, British Vogue, French Vogue. I was in all of them.
Could you ever imagine?
No, to be flown on business class and then my mother flown in and a black card taken care of for like a week, like all expenses paid, and like the biggest bag of my life. I could never have imagined that. I could never have imagined working on the biggest campaigns in the world, not here. I barely work here anymore, but like the biggest campaigns in the world for brands that I begged for, like growing up. Like I wanted a pair of like Nikes. Now I'm just like, it's like whatever, you know? And literally the humblest beginnings. Some people like think I'm just like this like wealthy girl that comes from like money that was always, no, like it's not that, like anywhere close to that. I had to like claw my way into, I know I make it look easy, but like I had to claw my way into being Bee Diamondhead.
But
and
you've been here for a while. I know it doesn't look it, but like when Bee said she's been in the industry for 20 years, she's really been in the industry for 20 years. I'm not going to talk ages.
Yeah.
But like you've been here, so you've been at it, you've been working to earn your spot.
Yeah. It's a weird spot. It's a weird spot as well within the South African industry context, because sometimes it feels like it's not appreciated or seen here.
Because you want to work here. Like when Bee said not here, abroad, she didn't mean it like
I didn't mean it like as an ego thing. Like I only work abroad, but
it's like St. Briefs, local brand, St. Briefs.
Yeah. And I ask for them all the time, but people will make up that excuse because they know. I think a lot of it is, I demand the best, and sometimes I do get offered briefs, and immediately I'll say to them, "This treatment is standard grade. It's low vibrational. You need to like this treatment." We need to work on a better treatment because it's not good work. Like I don't want to be associated with that. And it happens often.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can't afford you, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, okay, well, then stay basic. It's okay.
But the other thing that you always offer is you'll take reduced rates for creative.
Yeah.
Like you'll work on a treatment. You are so collaborative.
But then that just means that they're going to have to work harder at their job, and that therein lies a problem.
It's
They're okay just clocking in and clocking out and doing the bare minimum for their check at the end of the month. They don't want to really put in the work that it takes to
do good work.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
No,
I don't know.
Bee and I can like gas each other up to a point to where I don't know if we're ever gonna book another job. So I'm gonna.
It's okay.
I'm gonna simmer it down.
They
and
threw me away a long time ago.
We can like chat afterwards. So, we are in the Lemkus building. He's wearing awesome Asics shoes. But I want to ask you, what's your favorite sneaker?
Yikes.
Just to honor the space, honor the culture of sneakers.
The sneakers that I'm wearing on rotation currently are, I wear my Margiela sneaker a lot. It's super it's super sorry, I took it right up there.
How do you spell Margiela? Margiela.
It's super comfortable, like, and I wear it a lot for travel, and it's like clean black. I only wear black. And when I want to bring a little bit of fun, I wear my leopard print Wells Bonner Sambas.
Yes.
I did 3 huge Adidas films last year, for global films for Adidas, for the Samba, for the what are the originals? The Samba, the Superstar,
Kellen?
and the Gazelle. And so I because of that, I was on that job for like 3 months. All I wore, and when you're on those jobs, you're not allowed to wear any other brand. So because of that, I wear a lot of Adidas, and now Asics. This is the first color probably in my wardrobe that I brought in.
Are they comfy?
Super.
Kellen as the godfather. So Kellen, I feel like Kellen and Levi are just the like Lemkus pirates. Kellen as the godfather of sneakers. Do you approve of the Margiela? Margiela. But you approve of it.
So I needed to get a sneaker for today, and I went to Callan this morning, and
you have to go prove it with Callan.
I'd sent him like a list, and he was like, no, they don't look good on the shoe. And I was like, if it feels normie or looks normie, I don't want it anywhere near my foot. So the more, like, if it looks creative, if the color is a little bit weird, if the shape is like, yours are really good. If the shape is interesting.
Now it's gonna be so conceited.
If the shape is like weird, I like to wear art.
Yeah.
I like to feel like I embody art. So like whatever I wear, like head to toe, needs to feel like something, like somebody took their time in crafting it, you know?
Yes. You love it. I told you don't just like do the talk, you like really walk in the vibe. So for time, I think we're gonna stick to 3 questions. No, we're gonna do 3, and then
not you.
We'll do 3 questions, and then anything else we can just chat with you after and chat with ourselves. And there's the cute tafel tree. Thank you for everyone's contribution. So just
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, sharing and help yourself. So do we need a mic? We can just go for it. Okay, who's first? Okay. Hello.
Vincent.
Hi, Vincent that loves advertising.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, I'm Vincent. No, actually, I did want to maybe circle back to that question. Look, you know, the reality is that we're in a third world country, and creativity across the board is struggling.
Facts.
Designers, and I used to work 10 years ago. I was marketing director at Arts and Culture. And I run a PR and marketing agency now in Cape Town. So across the value chain of the arts, the business of the arts and creativity is the worst thing you can ever actually do as a creative. Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, and I think this is a lot of the challenges we have, whether you are in advertising as a copywriter, yes, the pinnacle is a Cannes Lion, or if you're an actor, the pinnacle is an Oscar. Or Tyler, the pinnacle is, are you with me? Unfortunately though, the journey in terms of curating work, whatever art form and expression it is, that will be economically viable for you as a creative at that point or an artist, and the industry, that's a game we're not going to win here. Maybe potentially, if the Bees of the world and the people who are currently at the top of those value chains are saying we need the industry to reform, we need to change it, that's when it might happen. And that's going to take a while. I mean, I was one of the people who wrote the Mzansi Golden Economy about 15 years ago. It still hasn't happened. Artists in this country are still starving, and they're just going to continue like that. Unfortunately, the business of creativity in the continent has not leveled up. We are mimicking. We've just done Fashion Week now with
Belmont.
CXC, Belmont. We're chatting about it. But the designers are nowhere. They've spent their money, they've showcased.
They have no
everyone's
money. They have
insane.
no money to spend.
Exactly, right? But if, and we were talking, we'd see here that potentially for any artist or designer who's going to make it, they're going to have to go, like, we represent Matosa as an agency we've just started, but our deal with him is nothing to do with fashion. It's the commerciality, commercial deal of it, you know. And I'll give you a basic one in terms of the last one. Like we worked on Bonang, the first agency that worked with Bonang on a global Revlon campaign. Potentially her bill could have been a bar. But when you've got an agency who says, hi Revlon, we're gonna need this. There's a year where she can't do any other Mac. There's a breathing period, you've got to, are you with me? There's usage rights, there's this, there's that. The bill goes up. But essentially, Bonang as Bonang, negotiating with Revlon, the bill is different. So I think I do love this industry because I'm made for it. I can't do anything else. I love it. But I've also figured out, and mind you, this is not a different problem. I sit as someone with the Cannes Lions, the diversity globally. In America, there's actually 11 ECDs. 11, like ECDs. The America is the godfather of anything creative that's commercial, right? 11 ECDs. So
I think to say I hate advertising is talking about the systems.
Absolutely, no, yes.
It's talking about how it hasn't evolved.
Yeah.
How we're creating work that for me, I believe is standard grade most of the time. And that I wish more people could have an honest conversation about that. And maybe if we're more honest about it, maybe we can change something. You know, I'm not in it enough to sit about that change, but the people within advertising, you guys, if you're honest about it enough and not, what's the term, blowing smoke up each other's asses at the lorries, maybe we can change, or the can, or wherever, you know. Sometimes it feels like that's all it's about.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, and my point was the business part of it and the business of creativity. That's the system to be on.
So I think I think Vincent, that's what you're saying, that you don't love advertising, that you love the business of arts, you love creatives, you love business, and it happens to be a part of advertising.
Absolutely. But the challenge is that also we're going to be talking about it until the cows come home. Maybe my point is, sitting here in this room as collaborators, we are changing it, and to Bee's point, talking about it, but also talking about it, guys. The reality is exactly that. When you understand that it's diminishing where margins are low, as like someone runs an agency, the margins are low, and sometimes I do want that Adidas job, but the freaking brand manager is giving me one shot, and I've got 200K. I do want a Bee to style it because she's a goddess, but sometimes do you know what I mean? So
either way,
it's when and I hate this. I work with some of my friends like Onesimo, when you have to put the work in and they say it will be publicity. But I think one thing that we've done in hacking the system is sometimes if you are going to collaborate with someone, it's really be upfront and say, I've got 200K, we need to collaborate. I know your rate is 50, but maybe I can do this because actually I've got to pay everyone else. If there's honesty in that, has been one of the ways where we've been able to achieve incredible work when you are able to tap into production companies that they wouldn't look at you because you don't have a TV budget, but they'd look at you. You know, it's one of the ways.
And
the other one in closing would be, it is truly about collaborating. A lot of, and I sound strange, advertising is never going to make us rich. If you don't have a second job, if you don't have other gigs on the side, it's unfortunate. It's like if you look at the numbers, it just doesn't make sense. For me, I think the honesty part of it is like when we're fighting the good fight. it's up to each creative by themselves to look at them as a at themselves as a business, and then move like that as a business. If you are with any agency, it's 9 to 5, baby. And I do understand that, as I say that, is that no one here who's in advertising, it's 9 to 5. It's 9 to 11, 9 to 12. But it's about that discipline and being able to do other things that will absolutely set your heart on fire.
Yeah.
Advertising is never going to produce the money and the creativity.
And I also love what you said about the exposure chat, and we can't be having just exposure chats anymore, because I don't think ESCOM accepts exposure. I don't think like the bond accepts exposure. So I get being like a owner of a big agency is a thing, or a smaller agency, but we should still try and pay people their worth. But we can have cake and chat about that afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. We have. Oh my word. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna count the last two. The one. Okay, wait. If you want to just put their hands down. Okay, you go next, and then we have one more question left.
I first wanted to say thank you for creating the space for us. I feel like in Cape Town, personally, I feel like there's not enough of this happening because there's a lot of competition and people kind of trying to size each other up, and I feel very safe, and I wanted to say
Nice. Thank you for coming in. Thank you guys for making it feel safe.
You guys are really snapping. Like this is like slam poetry or something.
And I also just wanted to acknowledge my cousin, Ruby. She's mentored me before and continues to, and I feel very seen by her, and I really appreciate
I love you.
and the work that you do.
Thank you.
My question kind of stems or speaks to your comment, and I think your conversation or what you're saying is kind of I would say isolated, how can I say this? I think I kind of want to get to the root and hear what you guys have to say about the scarcity mindset a lot of us young South Africans have, or black or brown South Africans have, because as much as we think that, all these corporations, white, companies, they hold the ground, they're making decisions, we also don't really value ourselves and what we have to bring to the table. So I want to know how you guys have navigated that scarcity mindset in your advertising.
I want to say, I wanted to say to Vincent's point, the core of everything is everybody's innate ideas and creativities, like this thing that's like deep within you. Before I had any job, maybe I come from a different generation where we were constantly creating. There was no Instagram. There wasn't anybody to like. We were just showing the work to like each other, and it came from such an innocent place. It came from such a pure place. I think the most important thing is to continuously create. Find friends find a friend that can shoot for you. Find a friend that you can write something with and put that stuff out there. Like continue to put it out there. And if you really do have a unique point of view, and you're creating something fresh, somebody's going to see that. And maybe you don't even need somebody to see that. That's your form of therapy. I stopped drawing and painting because I felt like it wasn't good enough to be something. But I should have never stopped because it was just something that I did because it fed me. And when everything else is loud and you feel disillusioned, I think your creativity at the core of it is the most important thing that you have. And in turn, that's going to be the thing that you're giving to the world and the thing that you're doing. So if you ignore all the noise and you just start there first, I think you'll be okay. Focus on you. Yeah.
Thank you, B. B's obviously more experienced at this than me, but I think when it comes to the scarcity mindset, what I try to do is just be honest about where I come from and what I wish that I had. And I know that we always say this, but it's about community. And when I say community, I don't mean everyone, and I don't mean being at every party, always networking, staying the latest, being the loudest.
Yeah, I don't leave my house ever.
Guys, what I mean by that is surround yourself with people that's going to challenge you, not always say yes, but leave the door open for you. Like, I firmly believe in that. If I have an opportunity where I'm in, and I guess that's the Nepo baby thing with our agency. If I'm in, we're all in. Like, I talk about this story often, but my mom's a teacher, and we booked a job at Zeit Smoker, and I told her, ring ring from the school and tell them you're having a mental health day. You are caterer this Friday at Zeit Smoker. Like, that's the thing, and it
Exactly.
eliminates the scarcity mindset because number one, we build community, and number two, I always try to show up as myself. Same accent. I always say where I'm from, and I don't do it to be like, oh, this is my hood. I do it because there's going to be another girl from Grassy Park or from wherever that's going to be like, yo,
Right. Sometimes I get like these
Yo-
emails actually all the time. And I'm just like, it's so formal. I could be speaking to anybody.
a professor.
Literally, I'm just like the chat GPT, right? It's so formal. I'm just like, who are you? Who is this person?
Just be honest, and I think that eliminates, but like alleviates the pressure of that scarcity mindset because you show up as yourself, not as what's in your bank account or where you've come from, just like
Or
the
who you
worth.
think you should be.
Yes, just the worth of you. As like, ugh, as like icky as it sounds, like you hold so much value and so much worth by just being
Being,
here.
yeah.
And then you in turn open the door for others, as Bee's done for you, as other people have done for you, and that's what I enjoy. We have freedom. Yes.
Just Amanda, I don't have a question. I just want to add. I think in general, coming from a creative space and having a younger generation following your steps, I think you also have to trust that or understand that there's room for everyone in this industry.
Yeah.
This idea of having to compete with each other is something that I hope next generations will eliminate, because I do feel like there's a lot of support from each other. At least here, me coming from Europe, seeing and listening to you all for the last 2 weeks. And I do think you have to trust that there's room for everyone. There's room for every language that you speak, that you translate in your creativity. It's unique to you. Nobody can be you.
Yeah.
What you bring to the table is unique to you.
And
So-
if you're constantly reaching out to like the Bee Diamondheads and these corporations, and it's like, see me, I want to come work for you, and you don't hear from me, just know that like some of us are genuinely fighting for our lives. But start in your little ecosystem, start in your little community. You have an idea for something, call your photographer friend and just be like, friend, I have this idea, come do this thing with me. 9 times out of 10, that thing is done and it's out in the world, and you've created and you put something out there, you know, rather than waiting for me to come to you
to value
to
what you do.
to validate you. You don't need me.
Ryan wants to add
Can I add
something.
something quickly as well? And this is something we struggle a lot with, and I still struggle with this, and we're doing this for over 10 years. What story are you telling yourself about creativity and about this industry? And I think we have this idea because we see the image of the most creative people, the most creative ideas, the most creative, what they look like, what the aesthetic. There's a lot of stories out there. And what story are you telling yourself that you're going to take with you? Because there's a lot of BS and bullshit out there. It's smoke and mirrors. And you need to really start looking at like, what does it mean for you? And it can be naive, and it can be, you know, based on, but there's a playbook on how this thing has been written, how to be a creative person, how to lead a creative life, right? There's only one of you, and as many people in this room, there are as many perspectives on how to be creative. You're all very much successful in your own rights, right? It's just the stories you tell yourself about what that success looks like are vastly different, and some are the same because you see, you obsess about that one image or that one view. And so I think it's really checking yourself about that, and also just backing yourself to be like, I don't care what the playbook says.
Taking out the judgment.
I'm gonna rewrite the book. We're all gonna sit here and we're going to rewrite that playbook together, because like, this is obviously not working for us. It needs to change. We talk about it. Let's actually do the work. And it's important to ensure that your words and your work match your actions as well. We can't just sit and talk about it. After this, you need to go. Tomorrow you need to go do work, guys. We'll stand up meetings tomorrow. Like, let's go. Like, the project, the revolution is about to begin.
Exactly.
And we can't just be jealous of people that's doing it for a long time. I used to be jealous, and Ryan and I used to be jealous because we were like, we wanted to do that. We came up with the idea, but you know what? Tough shit. That person did it. And there's something that separates dreamers from doers, and how do we bridge the gap and be a dreamer and then do it without being weird but creatives in
Yeah,
in a
sometimes
room.
like we go to art fair, and somebody would be like, "What is that? Is that?" And I was like, and I'm always like, the difference is that they did it.
They did it. You didn't do it.
That's
Sorry.
the difference.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Ocean's up, and then we're gonna. Okay, Megan's
I'll give
gonna.
it short and then Ocean.
Okay, we're gonna half the question.
Yeah. So, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a creative in the social impact space. Thank you for this evening. Question to you both, and I preface a lot of my conversations in the creative industry like this. I'm always like, as a brown female. So, I'm going to pass the mic, and I'll be like, as a brown female, black female, what would you tell your 16-year-old self? Keep it short, and then we'll have time for Ocean's question.
My lounge, my couch. I have to say that as a brown female, don't spend so much time worried about something that hasn't happened. Honor this moment. Honor the gifts that you have right now in this moment today. Tomorrow's already taken care of, and it's going to be okay.
Nice. Amen.
Thank you
I
so
love
much.
that.
That is perfect.
I'll go. I'm gonna try to not be weird and cry, but I think if if I go back to my 16-year-old self, I'll just say, be more you. I remember that it was so weird because I had a conversation that touched on this in this week. My dad is mixed, he looks white, my mom is colored. There's a lot of history there, but I think everyone at my very average school thought that I was supposed to be rich, but I wasn't rich, and I came from a rich grade R, and now was just a normal, amazing hood school, and I wasn't white enough and I wasn't colored enough, and I told my mom, like, you need to go buy me Kruger's stat before I go for service day. Like, I need the full look. And for so long, I've been not now, but when I was younger, I was like suppressing who I actually was, and I was just someone that liked weird shit like Avril Lavigne and Depeche Mode,
Oh
and
my God, we come from such different places, but so similar.
yes, I was like, if I could go back, I wish I could tell my younger self, be more like you, and it's okay to be
Weird.
kind of weird and awkward, and I don't know. I had a mullet, guys. I think Levi remembers it. Okay. Ocean, your question, and
Last
then we'll
question.
wrap.
Thank you so much for the night. It's been quite insightful. That's gonna touch base on like what you asked like earlier. But like after all this is said and done, right? The pressure. How do you sleep at night?
Oh my God, so fucking well. You know why? Because I'm always honest, and I always treat everybody with the utmost kindness, and I always do the right thing. I always try to do the right thing. I sleep really, really good.
Doesn't mean agreeable, but you're honest.
Yeah, and I take care of myself. Like I work out. I switch off. I read.
You're Pilates
Now,
princess.
right? Like I go and visit my family. I hang out with friends. I don't see anybody for weeks if that's what I need. So I really try and tap in and come back to myself, and I look after me first. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you, B. Okay. So Ocean, I know you don't care, but I don't sleep well. I have a toddler, and then Russell. Russell and I have a meeting at 10 o'clock tonight, so I don't sleep. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it.
Thank you so much,
you.
everyone. Thank you for coming.
He's getting ready to disassociate.
I think we have like an hour and a half.
Yes, I just want to say thank you so much, B. Thank you for just being yourself. Thank you for being little B, big B, for being a mentor, but just showing up as yourself. heavy is the heart and the head that wears the crown.
Thank you for having me.
And then I want to say thank you to everyone that's come. It's a Wednesday night. We know. We really appreciate it. We appreciate what you've brought, just your energy, and again, for making everyone feel safe. Thank you to my husband and business partner, Ryan. I appreciate you.
Hey.
And then I also want to say thank you to Lemkus, and I want to say thank you to Levi and Callan and the rest of the Lemkus
you,
family.
guys.
Thank you so much for just being like Bee's a captain of industry at the guys are pirates in the industry. And yeah, we're gonna call it here, but again, help yourself with the snacks on the table, mingle, do your thing, and I'll see you at the next Spring and Share, I guess. Okay.